they haven't offered Dawkins the NC State kid yet. They haven't offered them yet.
Yeah.
So
I think the Dawkins one's the biggest thing because that's a talented defensive end. So I think
sure.
the fact they haven't offered him means they're real. I think they feel confident where they're at with Verse, but it seems like he's keeping things pretty quiet right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably legit torn between Tennessee and FSU.
Hey guys, it's Terrence Mann. You're listening to Hear the Spear presented by Noles Game Day. Go Noles.
Hey, what's up? This is Peter Ward, aka E-Dub, in the house. So we're listening to Hear the Spear presented by Noles Game Day. Go live, go Noles.
Hi, this is Charlie Ward, and you're listening to Hear the Spear. Go Noles.
This is Terrell Buckley. You're listening to Hear the Spear presented by Noles Game Day. No Bloody.
But perhaps better known as the greatest corner to ever step on a football field, Deion Primetime Sanders.
Great Deion Sanders, my brother. What's going on, man? I could wake up to that greeting every day, man. That was awesome. Hello, Noles fans. This is former Seminole Derek Brooks, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noles Game Day.
James Wilder Jr. What's going on, James?
Thanks for having me on. SSOD, Florida State or Die, and go Noles.
William Bar None Floyd.
Gentlemen, what's up?
What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Hear the Spear, presented to you by NoleGameDay.com. Happy 2022, gentlemen. It feels nice. It feels even better because, number one, Dustin isn't here with us this evening. He's on his honeymoon up in Savannah, enjoying life, doing his thing. And so it's just another wonderful pod for us, even though we do have Austin on this week, Nate. So we have to...
Well, it does seem like every time we have a podcast without Dustin, it's an all-timer. So
it's always a great time. It's always a great podcast. But I don't know why you're bashing on me.
I know.
Last week without me, Logan's mic was wrong. So I mean,
that is true. They didn't tell me I was using the wrong mic, Nate, and I sounded awful.
What makes it though, Logan? What makes it better is that basketball sucks, and that means that the stars are realigning back for Florida State football. So
that does seem about right. I was about to say I can't make fun of you tonight, Austin, because it'd just be like beating a poor little dog to death. It's been you're already down.
It's been a bad week.
It's been rough. We need to start off first because we're a little late on the show tonight. Just busy stuff going on. But Johnny said, Nate, you need to hurry the F up. That's what he just said.
Hey, Johnny. Johnny Buckets, man.
He's a good guy. I think Johnny's a good guy. He's just giving you a hard time.
I'll keep it strictly G-rated, but
for the first 5 minutes,
maybe
2 minutes.
Read between the lines.
You need to wash your hands.
No, my hands are clean, bro. I wash my hands probably 35 times a day. I work in a restaurant, bro.
I was gonna say you were probably eating actual wings, but no, you eat boneless, so you use a fork.
Correct.
That's right.
The high class elite level.
That's right. You're not wrong. Whoa. Just kidding. I'm not going that way. But everybody, enjoy having y'all on here this evening. We have a lot to go over. It won't be too long, though. We won't keep you on here for too long. But we got a lot to talk about. Transfer. We're going to talk Tatum Bethune. We're going to talk Jared Verse. We're going to talk Jordan Eubanks. Jamie Robinson announcing that he's coming back for another season. If you guys were in the Discord, you knew kind of about a couple of these things. Yep. And then we'll maybe talk some Fabian Lovett. And maybe some others that we expect to see next season. And Austin will give us his 5-minute breakdown of what in the hell is going on with Florida State basketball.
It won't be 5 minutes. It'll be about 2.5.
2.5. Austin.
I can already tell you, let's pass that segment up. They can't play D and they don't have shooters.
Defense wasn't the issue.
Interior defense. They don't have an interior presence.
It still wasn't the biggest. That was the biggest issue. They can't shoot right now.
Oh my goodness! Well, we'll get into the
whatever that was.
We'll get into the brutal talk there. I'm already dreading it. I heard watching that the other night. It was hard to watch, but we're going to talk into some good stuff to start off. As always, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube. Hit the like button. A lot of y'all were already waiting before the pod even started. So appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Who's got a Gordo's cup?
Me.
Nice. They should hop on board and team up with us. But anyways, let's jump into it to start off 2022, guys. Fantastic podcast. Starting off, Dustin's not here.
Mm-hmm.
Tatum Bethune lands over at Florida State. Former UCF linebacker. He had a total of 108 tackles last season, 5.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 2 interceptions, along with 1 forced fumble. With the Knights, he has 2 years of eligibility. This is a big-time grab for Randy Shannon there in that linebacker corps. Much needed building depth, and it just continues to show because we'll talk about a most recent linebacker transfer from today. But this is a big-time pickup. If you guys were in the Discord a couple of days ago, you kind of saw this one coming. But yeah, this is a big, solid pickup for Florida State in that defense heading into next season.
Heading into initially when he did commit there, only 6 scholarship linebackers. We'll talk about Jordan moving on, but huge need. When you look at a guy, big time experience, produces, definitely makes that room much better. I know we saw a lot of, just pretty much 3 guys last year in Gaynor, Lundy, and Deloach. We didn't see a lot of. We saw some, Cortez Andrews here and there. We saw, Stephen Dix Jr. here and there. But with the defensive running, I love the pickup. I know some Miami fans were trying to, joke on the pick of, and him filling the lane. That's a perfect run fit. So thank you for tweeting that out. So, love it. So that goes back to the contacts in the relationships that Shannon had at UCF. So they jumped on that kid as soon as he hit the portal. So
yeah, I
think
I think they were quick with it, and I think obviously having the connection there with Randy Shannon helps a ton. And Florida State, much needed grab, but I think Miami really wasn't. I can understand Miami getting in contact and such, but I think Tatum kind of knew and understood where he wanted to go right off the bat, in my opinion. I mean, he had been on campus for a couple of days. He had been on campus whenever the announcement was made already. I know some people were contemplating that, but he had been on campus.
So already. People should get to understand that he's already been there. So I think with Shannon, being the linebacker coach, I think the writing was on the wall. The sheer fact that FSU needed that guy, and then also too the fact that he's a multiple year guy can help bridge that gap. As a hopefully load up in this next cycle. It's a much better year for linebackers in 23 than it was in 2022.
I was told too that relationships, most certainly Kalen Deloach, some of the other linebackers like Lundy, them talking with Bethune too helped a little bit. I mean, probably because they're like, we need as much help as we can, my man. But that connection there, those relationships helped. This was all relationships from the very beginning. That's why we were talking about it immediately once he was entering the transfer portal.
Yeah, I wonder too if this pushes Gaynor more towards a DN type role, which I think is a better fit for him.
He's kind of like a fish out of water playing just regular off-ball linebacker. I think he kind of speed near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Jen's asking, why do you think he wanted to leave UCF?
Just bigger opportunity, probably.
Big opportunity, maybe.
Because Gus Malzahn's a douchebag.
also that.
Yeah,
who I'm missing a name? Nate, and it's just I've been saying his name on Mark's show yesterday and all in the Discord, but the GA with ties in Miami, I'm just completely
Sabbath Joseph.
Yep, Sabbath. Yep, I think another relationship right there.
Yeah,
that helps.
Miami Central kid.
Yep. So this one, I
tee it up.
Miami fans are trying to say something's going on here. We might be able to snag him from Florida State fans, but I never saw that to be the case. There was nothing negative coming out of that with regards to Florida State. So Florida State, this is a big landing right here for the Noles because it's much needed. They've got to build even more depth too, but he's an instant impact kind of guy. He's going to be in that early rotation. He could start depending on the package that Adam Fuller and Randy Shannon throw in there. So this is a solid pickup, much needed, and I think he's gonna bring some good energy. He's a violent guy. He's got good size on him too, but he can move and he can grab picks too. We know it's been kind of tough since the last couple of years with linebackers grabbing interceptions, but Tatum Bethune is able to grab the ball, so it's a good sign. Nate, did I lose you here?
Yes.
We might have. We lost Nate. Nate is gone.
At least it's early.
Yeah, no, it was early. We got him back though. You're back.
Nah, I don't know what.
Someone must be calling him. That's usually what happens. It goes, there you go. We see you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, dude. I just got it froze at 8:01, and I couldn't do anything.
Stopped on you. Thorin saying, love the show. Thanks, guys, and go Noles. Thorin, appreciate you hopping on here from Facebook. Let's jump into another big-time topic since we need to get the goodies out first. Jared Verse, Albany defensive end transfer, is supposedly supposed to make a announcement before late add or drop, whatever you want to call it, for classes at FSU or
I think
whatever
he just
he
kind
is
of shows
expected to
up.
go. That's what
I'm
I
wondering
feel.
if it just shows up at the school of his choice. He doesn't have to necessarily sign or make an announcement. He can just show up and start going to class. But kind of, the fact that Florida State hasn't offered Chance Mang yet, they haven't offered Dawkins, the NC State kid, yet. They haven't offered them yet.
Yeah.
So,
I think the Dawkins one's the biggest thing because that's a talented defensive end. So I think the fact they haven't offered him means they're real. I think they feel confident where they're at with Verse, but it seems like he's keeping things pretty quiet right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably legit torn between Tennessee and FSU. So I mean, if I were FSU, I would take Dawkins and offer and press for him and figure it out later because as we just saw today, the numbers always figure themselves out. Scholarship is now open with. Eubanks hitting the portal, so I know numbers are kind of tight, but Dawkins is a kid I would take with the NFL pedigree. So, but I think the staff still feels pretty confident there. Just got to make a decision here pretty soon, one way or another. I don't know what Tennessee's drop ad and all that stuff starts and ends, and couldn't care less, but. Going to hear something soon.
Yeah, I don't know what Verse is doing. He never was really a big talkative guy with this. He didn't really want to hype up this whole transfer portal, and that's what a lot of transfer portal guys do. This is a big time business decision. This is not where you're building those relationships with kids. Nate, the best with building relationships, 2 years, 3 years, and you're able to kind of get a feel on what's going on with the recruit, or they let you know privately inside. And so you keep that private, but this is usually these transfer portal guys. These decisions are made quicker, and this is really a big time business move for them. And so definitely for Jared Verse, I mean, he's projected to be he's an NFL product. I mean, that's just what he is. And so this is
he's been promoted as one of the top players in the portal. This year.
Yeah,
I would love to take both. Because we need pass rush. I'd love to take both somehow.
Absolutely. I would love to take both too. But it also maybe tells you how good FSU feels about what's on the roster right now. I know they're really excited about Patrick Payton. I think McClendon's going to do really well. Kushan Fuller took a big step last year. So,
he's already training too. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how it figures it out, how it all unfolds.
Yeah, so drop ad ends on the 10th. So still could do this over the weekend. I know some people are expecting Wednesday and then now Thursday. I wasn't really thinking anything was going to happen today. So maybe potentially Friday. If not, just got to play the waiting game here. But he's a kind of guy. I know he's done interviews and he's done multiple interviews with our guys. But, he's not really big on the NIL stuff. I know there's definitely some nice things that, Tennessee maybe could offer there. But I think the relationship with Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas helps a lot in this situation. I think from what I was told, leaving Tallahassee, that was really a big time factor and probably what his decision is going to be. I mean, it went very well with those two, with Keir and Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, looking at it in a neutral perspective, based off what you've seen over, the last year with transfer guys, what FSU's done versus what Tennessee's done, I don't know. Is it really that tough a decision? But it's not my decision to make.
Yeah,
that's no knock on what Tennessee's done. And the guys they brought in, I just think that Florida State's had a lot more success and a lot more national success in terms of the recognition of Corbin and Jermaine Johnson and Kid Thomas. Even though Mackenzie Milton was a little bit of a letdown, it was still great publicity. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Jamie, love it.
Yeah,
Florida State's done a
Jamie Robinson,
fantastic
who
job.
was all conference.
Yep.
So they've had a lot of success.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job. They've been one of the best, if not the best, in the country in the side of the transfer portal, and it's worked. These guys have came in. Jamie, when we went to the spring scrimmages, he was starting day one on that defense. So they're coming in to be impact players. But I mean, Jared Verse, that's an immediate starter. That's easy there. I mean, that's a right off the bat. He's your best defensive end in the room. So
I think if Florida State pulls that off, they have really good gets on all three levels from the portal this cycle with Verse, then with the kid from UCF who I don't know why it's escaping me now, and then with Greedy Vance, the corner from Louisville, a guy who started for a Power 5 HTC school. So, and then getting Robinson back is like getting a 5-star back for that defense. Had a great year.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in just a second. And then there's a question here. I want to go back to this one, asking Logan, do you think he announces it tomorrow? At this point, we have no clue. No media outlet has any clue. No one on FSU side, nor Tennessee side, or any other school know of anything. He told Dustin on Monday that he would do a commitment interview if it were to go in Florida State's favor. So nobody's heard anything from Verse on that. So we'll see. I think this one, I wouldn't be shocked if this goes into the weekend. Or like Nate said, he might just show up to the Moore and someone might just see him in the canvas in the classes. They might just see him in class online. That'd be funny to see if we find out that way. We've seen that happen before, though. But we'll see on Jared Verse. I still think Florida State's in a good spot to land a talented defensive end from Albany. Much needed.
What do you think?
What
do you think, Austin?
Yeah, what do you think on this?
I don't care. He'll decide what he decides.
What did he just say?
Damn.
If he picks Florida State, great. If he doesn't, oh well.
Well, I mean, his team just did get stomped by Wake Forest, so
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of brain dead right now.
Yeah, he's brain dead. He's not feeling too good.
I guess the question for Austin
things.
is Albany basketball, can they beat Florida State right now?
No, unless they have prime David Nichols. Shout out David, Hear the Spirit alum from Albany, but no.
There's a question from King Mac asking, any word on a legit backup quarterback for Jordan Travis? It's a must. I think they're going to wait after the spring, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think they waited out. We had heard a name early on, but that's no longer an option. That person has gone elsewhere. But I'm in the camp that they should bring someone else in. You can't go in the fall, let alone spring, but you can't go in the fall with 3 scholarship quarterbacks. So I know there's some discussion about maybe Chuba Purdy coming back. Maybe that's something that happens. Who's to say how this all unfolds? But some way or another, FSU will have a 4th quarterback, in my opinion, heading into fall camp next year. Whether it's a transfer, or maybe they take a late flyer on a high school kid like a Davin Widener, who I know they were evaluating early on. Who knows how this all unfolds? So,
yeah, Florida State's got to have more depth there, and I think it will be after the spring. And there's no rushing that. I think Florida State will do its due diligence with a lot of these players that are in there now. But I think there'll be more options after the spring football depth charts get released, and they're like, we're going to go ahead and dip out of here. So
I wonder if they're kind of burnt with what happened with Milton. Milton was burning up UCF's defense, and I think they expected more of what they got from him. So maybe they're doing some more homework on these guys. I don't know. That's just me throwing a topic of debate out there.
Yeah, it would be a potential for sure. I want to blame them. I want to blame them at all. Let's jump into a few. This is one right here asking. We talked about this earlier a little bit, Bill, but any possibility of Amari Gaynor moving over to defensive end? And, he played that in high school. I played that at the Bockham all the time, which was fun. But Amari Gaynor, I think, should be used more in pass rush. It was real fun. It was nice that a guy 2 years younger than me, we had the same size. It just didn't seem fair to me.
Same size, yeah. There it is.
It was the same size. I was like 185. He was probably about a 190.
You were also 5'8".
5'8"? Get out of here. Get out of here.
6'2", 6'3", whatever he is.
I mean, Amari Gaynor's best year at FSU, in my opinion, is his freshman season. And he was used more as a guy that rushes the quarterback. And I think that's just a really natural ability he has. So now, he has some plays where he just completely whiffs. Then he has some plays where he just makes NFL caliber plays. But I just think that him as a pass rusher, man, could be super dangerous.
I think so too. I'm right there with you.
He's
his freshman year. I thought
he's fast as all get out. He's twitchy. I think he's strong enough to get off the tackle. He uses hands really well as a freshman. So it's just interesting. I still think that there's a position for him in this defense, and it's up to the coaches to really figure out how to maximize his potential, because he's one of the best athletes on the team.
It's a quick question.
I do think getting Bethune allows some more flexibility for Gaynor to do some other stuff.
Mm-hmm. This is a question from Jay on Facebook. Who is a number 2 option if Verse
Dawkins
goes to UT? Yeah, Dawkins. Easy answer there. Let's talk about this. I think there's a pretty good point here from Carrie asking, why did Norvell lose all of his assistants? Coaching turnover could hurt him in the future. So, as we know, this is kind of what Norvell does. He sends off his assistants.
You go first, Austin.
Norvell just cannot win with this, because some people are like, why is he not getting his assistants out of here fast enough? Then there's people like this going, why is he losing all these assistants? Can guys just get better jobs? It's just natural in college football. If you have a good coaching staff, guys are going to get better jobs, and that's how you have good staffs. We always complain with Jim about him just being way too loyal to his guys, especially in those later years with Kelly and Trickett. You got to have coaching turnover. Sure, there may be an impact here and there, but come on, man.
The days of the Bowden days are over. Even as much as I hate Dabo Swinney, he kept his staff together for a long time. Even 8 or 10 years, however long they were together, that's not common. But even Dabo Swinney had turnover, at the OC spot early on, in his tenure. But for me, it shows that this guy can identify talented coaches. As frustrated as we can be as fans with the production on the field and our opinions on recruiting and all that kind of stuff, in coaching circles, some of these coaches are higher thought of than what we think of them. So, really, it's just that the fact that Norvell has a really good eye for talent. You can even take it back to Memphis, Dan Lanning,
Yeah. That's kind of what he does.
The guy at Pitt that everyone, including me, wanted, that's now going to Texas to be their passing game coordinator.
Yeah.
He's an up-and-coming coach. He played for Norvell and was an assistant for Norvell early on in his career. So, again, it's just another guy. Tony T, who got promoted to the quarterback spot. Again, I know some people were excuse me, grumbling about that, but that's the guy who's been pegged as an up and coming coach. So, I agree with Austin. Kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah. But shout out to Kerry with the Steelers hat. I respect it. I like it. We're still going to the playoffs. The Jaguars are winning this weekend. So I'm feeling good, baby.
I should find my Bengals hat, put it on.
Bengals hat?
Division champs.
No. Oh, my God.
If I get you a Joe Burrow LSU jersey, will you wear it?
Me?
Yeah.
What? An LSU jersey? No.
It's either that or a Joe Burrow Cincy jersey. Have your pick.
We'll talk about
You
this.
should
off
get
stream.
him a freaking Dwayne Haskins jersey.
Should I get him a leg press machine? He needs it.
or Mason Rudolph jersey.
Austin, you're not the one to talk. Do you want me to get that hip under a damn squat rack right now?
I don't care.
All right. We'll put you under there. Well, next time we hang out.
The hip's not the issues now, it's the knees.
Oh, my God. So you can't say nothing then. Oh, man. Let's jump into Jamie Robinson. A lot of people in the comments want us to chat about it real quick. But Jamie Robinson announced today that he plans on coming back for another season. We put that in the Discord days and days, I think on Monday. So if you guys were in the Discord, I had gotten some scoop on that. So make sure you guys are in there. Patreon.com/NoleGameDay. Only $2.99 a month. But all of our Discord members knew about this a couple days ahead. But he led the Seminoles in tackles with 84 last season, had 4 interceptions, first team all ACC. Florida State gets its best defensive back for next season. Gentlemen, how are we feeling? This is a nice news to hear.
Go ahead, Austin.
Austin's hype.
Solid pickup. Or solid re-edition. I should say solid re-edition. I will say he's the first couple of games I was kind of underwhelmed, but the last 3 quarters of the season he was just lights out.
Mm-hmm.
It was just everywhere he needed to be. I'd like to see them use him a little bit more in the box this year. I just think he creates so much havoc down near the line of scrimmage, blowing up tight ends, blowing up those quick routes. I'd like to see him more in that role, but he's a phenomenal player, and Florida State needs help on that back end of the defense. So
yeah, more like that Florida game, I think is the best way to use him, and let him kind of be sneaky in the pass game. But like I said, man, it's huge news for Florida State because there are some question marks on who plays that role heading into next year, and kind of shows up that position. I like it in terms of also just carry over from year over year. So, you have a guy who's an all-conference player coming back for a season that I think could be even better for him. So, big time for Florida State.
Big time. I know that he was looking and getting grades for where he would be in the NFL draft. I think it was a mix of that and also the potential to rise that draft.
If he has another season like he has, like the last 3 quarters of last year, he's going to be day 2 pick at the latest.
Yeah, and I think he has a really close connection with Norvell too. I think Norvell and them are really close. I think he likes playing for Norvell.
I think it also just comes down to the simple fact that he can get better because he started out slow and came on towards the end of the season. I think it's more of an opportunity for him to show consistency throughout the year and get a better grade next year than what he got this year. He's not going to get significantly better, but I think that he could, be especially more, after all conference first team is, all American, I guess, debate. So, he falls somewhere in that realm.
And it's
Florida
also
State's defense has been great.
A lot of it with the NFL is safeties just aren't they're not highly valued unless you're a Derwin James type. And even then he went 17th. It's just safeties don't go very high in the draft. So that's going to impact part of it as well. And him coming back for another year, get a little bit better, hopefully get into that day 2.
Well, we should do a Derwin James podcast on him going 17th. We could probably do a 2-hour podcast on how that was
I would
absolutely
love that.
Atrocious.
I would love that. Should we do a preview? Look back at some of the people who were drafted ahead of him?
Yeah, do that while we're sitting here. Easy.
The fact
now
that
rated as the
Isaiah
top
Simmons
safety.
went higher in the draft than he did. You know,
Well, it's
Jamal
'cause they-
Adams went higher in the draft than he did.
It's they were pumping Simmons as a guy that could play linebacker as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, drop it down.
Yeah, Derwin's had some injury, but you know he's back again. Now he's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Competing for All Pro.
Oh Lord,
Again.
There are some players ahead of him. Let me tell you.
I need to hear him.
This is the Sam Darnold draft. So Baker
Lord.
went 1. Yeah, Baker went 1. Saquon went 2, which after his ACL injury, he wasn't that great this year.
No.
Darnold went 3. The next 4 picks are all pretty hard to disagree with. Denzel Ward to Cleveland, who looked pretty good recently. Bradley Chubb, who was good when healthy. Quentin Nelson, arguably the best guard in the NFL.
I love
Josh Allen, who's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Roquan Smith at 8. I think he's a little underrated. I think he's played pretty well for Chicago. Same with Mike McGlinchey.
I believe he's leading
9.
the NFL in tackles, or right up there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Mike McGlinchey at 9, solid offensive tackle for the 49ers. And here's the best one. Josh Rosen to the Cardinals.
I remember that happening.
Oh, Lord.
Minka at 11.
Didn't the Cardinals move up? I remember that, right? Did they trade up?
Yeah, it says they got the
up
pick
with
from
Miami or Oakland.
No,
okay.
yeah,
Oh,
Oakland.
that's right, because Oakland was just handing out all the stuff they had.
Yeah, Minka to 11 for the Dolphins. And then the next 4 picks are kind of atrocious. Vita Vea, who's been solid for Tampa, but they still should have taken Derwin that year. Deron Payne to Alabama. To Washington, no. Marcus Davenport to the Saints at 14, having to trade up with an extra first-round pick to take him. Colton Miller at 15 for the Raiders, who's also been not great. Then Tremaine Edmonds for the Bills, who's been solid, and then you get Derwin.
Interesting. So some misses.
The Rosen, Deron Payne, Davenport, Miller. Oof.
Yikes.
Oof.
Yikesies. No bueno. There's a question here from Bill asking, got here late. You may have already covered this, but any chance Sam McCall gets to play offense and defense next season?
I think with their portal takes, I think that locks him in for defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can utilize him in special teams and on defense. You use him as a return guy. But yeah, he's definitely going to be a DB for Florida State.
Yeah, I believe so too. You know, I'm excited for is Azaria Thomas. I mean, that was just a little steal there at the end.
Absolutely.
I just have some kind of feeling he could ball out quick. I don't know what it is, but ever since watching a little bit of tape and
he's good.
His interview,
Best player in the Panhandle this year.
Yep, I'm excited to watch.
It's a talent-rich area, man. Guy can play.
Jordan Eubanks hit the transfer portal this evening. He had pretty much no playing time in 2021.
Still
he was
kind of
recruited
surprised.
by Chris Marv. Yeah, it was kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting this one. There was a lot of people kind of excited for him. I know a lot of his teammates were talking highly about him.
Mm-hmm.
This offseason, they were.
Yeah, I mean, he looked pretty good in practice and, you know, in situational practice stuff. You know, scout team and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of surprised. Not going to sit here and say it's a big loss by any means because you don't know how he's going to develop, but he's also a kid that was a bigger body athlete, and those aren't the easiest to find all the time. A kid who's 6'2", 6'3", you know, has safety skills, but is big enough to play linebacker. So it'd be interested to see where he goes, but kind of surprising for me.
Today's the first time I ever heard his name, so.
I'm not putting much blame on you on that one. I'm not putting much blame on you on that one. I think you and maybe a lot of other Noles too. I mean, let's look at their linebacker room now. Amari Gaynor. You've got Tatum. You've got Lundy. You've got McRae.
Okay, it's gone.
It was McRae's gone.
I meant to say Deloach.
Yep. Stephen Dix Jr.
Yeah, Stephen Dix Jr.
That's it.
I guess you can count Cortez technically.
Yep.
Yeah, Cortez. Which I think he will make an impact next season.
You got Omar Graham coming in.
Yeah.
So, Yeah,
Still risking it.
That's
Still risking it a little bit.
that screen is 4.25.
Screams it.
Yeah.
But it
They're
also
yelling it.
says, do they look at something else in the portal? 5 guys just is not
They
enough.
should. They need some depth. at the very least.
Or is the rumored move of, Brennan Gant down into the boxes and linebackers, is that going to happen? I wouldn't mind it. I know that Jadarius Green McKnight is an intriguing guy. What can you get from him as a linebacker? That kid was never going to play safety in college. He was 6 foot 220 in high
Willis?
school. No.
Oh, sorry.
Green McKnight.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you were talking about Jaron Willis, who we know wanted to play safety. That's what Georgia Tech was supposedly going to allow him to play, and that was the reason they were going to land him. Didn't end up happening, though. Sean's asking here, why doesn't Norvell practice one-on-ones in practice? Iron sharpens iron. So I can go ahead and tell you at all the practices, about a majority of them is one-on-ones. I mean, you're having complete competitions all throughout it. I mean, one-on-ones, wide receiver DBs, linebackers, and running backs on each other.
I think he's asking good versus good.
Oh.
First team versus first team.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Which they does too. They do that all the time. That goes the same with offensive wide receivers, defensive backs, and running backs versus linebackers, and even DBs
I do think Jimbo did it more. I think Norvell has not. I don't really have a complete answer other than I think Norvell's had to focus so much on fundamentals and reteaching some football. Not really focusing on good versus good, but getting guys into good football habits and making them smarter and just fundamentally sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the practices, once some fans are a lot more of the media, it's open to show a lot of it. You'll really get to see how Norvell runs it. I mean, you get one water break, and after that, it's full steam ahead all morning for 3 hours, and it's pretty impressive to watch. And a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of team versus scout. You got first team versus first team, 7-on-7. There's a lot of competition going on throughout the practices. I'm telling you, it's a lot of competitive energy going on in these practices. So it's a good question to ask, though. Here we go. This is the annual from Mendoza. What's the latest on Demore Tate? Still in Tallahassee. Seems to be heading into the spring. Seems like he'll be here until the spring, at least. Until spring ball happens.
Let's see. He's been not pleased with his playing time. Let's see if he can put it together and show the coaches that he deserves to be on the field.
And then another one, Travis J. Gage is saying Travis J would be the one to move up. Kid can hit hard and cover running backs. And tight ends, speedy receivers get the best of them.
No. That's all I'm going to say. No. He's 200 pounds. No.
I think that Travis J is better equipped as a free safety.
He's either a free safety or a star kind of position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. But, I want Travis J to be a off-field All-American right now. Best way I'll put it.
And it's disappointing. We were heading into this last season during the offseason talking very highly of Jay.
It should have got the pot, bro. It's time to put it together and realize that all that natural talent, man.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot there for sure.
Kid is gifted.
He is. I think there's a lot of guys that are gifted. It's just all about the focus, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the focus. John White's saying that Travis J should move to offense. I think if it's not working on defense, I don't think it's going to work on offense.
Moving people isn't always the answer.
Yeah.
It'd be really good to get Carlos's take on that if he's on the podcast,
He knows the best. I was about to say.
A guy who, I know Jimbo, I think, played that card a little bit and he kind of pushed on it. Can't really speak on him, but, he finally realized what he could do in offense. But, it's not always an easy move.
Snuddy, the player, James Water came on here and told us, Jimbo had to talk with him and said, have you thought about linebacker? And he said, no, not. I don't want to go there. And then he told us, I think, Los was on here too. It was a good conversation where he said, my ass should have gone to linebacker.
He would have been a freaking All-American at linebacker, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no doubt.
He'd still be in the
NFL. He'd be in the NFL as a linebacker right now. I still think he deserves a shot in the NFL as a running back, but that's a whole different topic.
This is good. Thank you, Mike, for letting us know here. We'll make sure to get an interview with you immediately after this. He said he just entered the transfer portal and he's going to Alabama.
Cool,
so
man.
Good for you, Mike. Hopefully get an interview with you later. Probably not. Let's see. Johnny's saying if Nate can put on 30 pounds, so can Travis J.
I have better genes.
Wrangler? Levi's?
No. Good fella.
Thoughts on the development of Lloyd Willis, offensive lineman, who could make an impact on the offensive line this upcoming season?
Got better this year.
Good size.
It is a guy that I would watch to be definitely a two deep guy next year at either tackle spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm trying to go through a few of these. Early enrollees came in. Nate, AJ Duffy arrived. A few others. Aaron Hester. That guy looks like he's already been with Coach Storms for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
Yeah, there's some people who, concerned about him in terms of whether he's done with his growth, but he's a big kid, man.
Yeah, I remember watching him in the camps over the summer. That is a big boy.
Mm-hmm.
That is a big boy.
They get Duffy, quarterback of the future. It's going to be really interesting, him versus Parsons. I think it's going to be really good competition. So,
Duffy too. Talk about this Under Armour All-American game. Practiced very well. The game was a little off. It's hard to build chemistry with just 4 days of practice, but
I think the practices are more of a gauge for that kind of stuff. But
that's what I was saying. The practices, it's hard.
Practice
to build the chemistry for the games, but during practices, reporters and house there covering it along with the people running the camp called them the.
There's a reason why. I think the record for that game is 200 yards passing. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to build camaraderie with a receiver in a week.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy went out in those drills and looked like he's ready to roll.
Yeah. Shad's asking here. I heard Dustin is transferring from Noel Game Day. Who is picking him up? The rest area. I don't know.
The Bisbee gas station in Live Oak.
Whataburger. I'm putting my crystal ball in for Whataburger.
Hobbit might take him. Hobbit may take him. There's a good possibility there. I'm going there after this too. I'm going to get my wings. Always shout out to Hobbit in town.
No, man. He always talks about Whataburger, so I think he's leaning that way.
He's probably leaning the Whataburger way.
Yep.
A lot of people asked about Kevin Coleman tonight because we got to stir up all that kind of stuff on the timeline. In my opinion, I think it's a wrap for Florida State. I think it's just to kind of get everybody's attention, get Florida State's FSU Twitter all riled up. But I don't see Kevin Coleman coming to Florida State right now, unless I hear something else. But I haven't heard nothing.
I put my thoughts in the Discord today. Something that has been pretty constant in terms of getting information is dried up. So I think it's going to be a kick in the nuts for FSU.
I just don't. I haven't seen that happening. I have not seen it. I think we got Mama Lewis in here. Dustin is priceless. Also, the wedding went fantastic. Dustin's wedding was amazing. So Miss Lewis put together and the whole family put together a wonderful wedding.
What
Good to see Dustin.
Priceless?
Well, Dustin got. I'll have to share some of the videos. I haven't shared some of the videos with you guys. Maybe I think we had to wait until he gets on here, and then I'll have a video that we can show up here.
We should have him
dancing.
break it down. Break down the first dance. Break down his form.
I don't know if I would call it a dance.
I bet it was him walking.
Oh man, yeah. I think that's what we'll have to do. Since he's missing this, show, I'll make sure to have a couple videos set up on here so everybody can check out a little bit of Dustin's dancing and having a good time. I think that's what we need to
We
do.
should just start next week's podcast with that.
That's what I'm saying.
We
got to surprise him.
Just put it on there.
He's not going to even know because he doesn't listen to the podcast anyways, I don't think.
Well, that was Mom might tell him. So.
Yeah, Miss Lewis, don't say anything.
Please.
Don't say anything, Miss Lewis. There was a video of Marvin Jones Jr. against Armella 2 days ago.
I think
yesterday.
that
Armella won that rep.
Yeah, I think the rep versus the Nia White was much better. I think that that was a stalemate rep. I think it's a stalemate. I think that Jones Jr. did a good job of getting it on his body, but I think that Armella did a good job of being able to kind of anchor and not really move off the spot too much.
I thought his technique has gotten better, and I know he's
been
working on that. He's been working on that.
The first part of that clip against the first DN, I'm not going to say his name again because I already forgot it. But that punch was rock solid. That was a really
that was the rep against the Nia White. That looked a lot better.
Yeah.
So it's really good for Florida State because some people thought he was pegged for inside at guard, but he's shown that he could possibly be at minimum, at worst the right tackle.
I'm going to try to find the video here. So now we have to act like we like each other and talk to each other just for 1 second.
Or I can go back to writing my Louisville game preview while you find it.
Well, you could do that. But yeah, Julian Armella, I mean, we've talked about him a little bit, but, he made his decision later in the day. I'm personally excited to watch this kid when he comes to FSU. I like the tenacity.
Mm-hmm.
I like just the nastiness is kind of bringing this as a rep here of the video that we've been talking about.
You got to show the one before
it. Yeah.
I think that's a draw.
Yeah, it seems almost even there. Here we go. Hopefully this is still sharing. And so that's, yeah. Pop, is that left hand?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Boom. That's
he's staying more tight.
Yep.
His tech footwork.
Yep. Shuffling his feet real well.
Yep.
Here he,
kind of lost that right arm.
I think Jones got into him pretty quickly.
Yeah, he came quick.
But, he didn't. No, he was able to.
He had this right back leg here that kept him.
Yeah, he was able to kind of utilize that because it looked like Jones was trying to brush him off to the right, and he was able to kind of fight it.
What I like, Armella's keeping his arms in though. He easily could have had that left arm wrapped around his back plate there, but was trying to keep his arms in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just thought overall right off the bat, I was like, damn, Armella's been working on this. But that's a pop. So we'll be watching that this weekend. I'm excited to see Armella in action. But like I was saying earlier, I think him bringing that mentality, that alpha kind of mentality, that offensive line, I'm all about it. I haven't seen.
Yeah, he plays really pissed off football. It's great. Yep. It's great.
Yeah, I like a little cocky offensive lineman. Haven't seen that in a while. I'm all about it, baby. Please bring it. So do we think AJ Duffy did well? Like we talked about earlier, Carol, but this was a game that you were trying to build chemistry in 4 days with guys that some you just met. So decent. I don't think anybody's going off of a game.
Now the game itself had ups and downs. Guys dropped balls. He had a bad throw. That was a pick, I believe. I didn't watch the whole thing, but leading up that week of practice, he was impressive from all reports. So.
Georgia Ron is correct here. It probably would have been hands to the face if there was an ACC ref there. So not wrong. There's a question here about who will be returning kicks next season. Should Sam McCall be our kick returner when he comes instead of Travis J? So it depends here. Kick return, punt. If kick return.
Well, I think punt return is slated for Micah Pittman.
Yeah, that's Pittman.
But no,
If Ren's back to 100%, it'll be Ren.
If Corey Wren sticks with it and figures out that groin issue, I definitely put McCall back there too.
Yeah.
Just anybody other than the people we had there last year. That's all I ask.
Oh man,
that needs a complete reset.
Yeah,
really, the whole special teams does punt return, kick return.
Mm-hmm.
Punting was fine. That's about it last year.
Yep.
Yeah, Massimano wasn't bad at all. So
pretty solid. He had a couple whiffs here and there, but other than that, he was solid. And then we don't need to talk about regular kicking, but punting was solid.
Yeah. Let's jump into some B-ball, VZ, because right now it is struggle bus city. Is it a wrap?
Hold on, before he gets into basketball.
Yeah.
Remember after the first game we were talking about like Elite Eight. How deep
I don't know if I was
saying. I said Sweet 16. Yeah.
Were you saying Sweet 16 last night? You needed 16 shots to deal with watching that game.
It was
I'm not talking shooting a basketball. Sorry, I'm not done yet. I'm trying to be a comedian.
It was not a pleasant time. I'll leave it at that. The NC State game was great. You come off an 18-day COVID pause, come out and beat NC State on the road. Offense looked good. Defense, had its lapses, especially against Sebron. And then against Wake Forest, the worst offensive performance I think I've ever seen. Someone texted me. I gotta find it again. I gotta find the stat because it was mind blowing.
Yeah.
They scored 0.69 points per possession, which usually you want to be around 1. It's the worst offensive performance since they lost 53-36 against Virginia in 2013.
2013.
That's a long time, and the 2013 team was bad. That was a really bad team. I don't know what to say about the offense. The offense is it's struggling so heavily. And part of it was against the Wake game. You had 5 guys have 2 fouls in the first half, and Ham just doesn't play them when they have 2 fouls. Especially Cleveland, he had his 2 fouls in a span of, I think they said 93 seconds. And then he comes out in the second half, and he's your leading scorer for the game. He's got to play more. He's got to be more consistent, too. There are times where he's not taking the right shot, even if he has the right mindset. Worley's got to be more confident. John Butler, after starting strong's really struggled these last 2 games. They got to find some offense one way or another. They have to find some offense.
Who's it going to be? How do you fix that when you just can't shoot?
Part of it's just guys got to make their shots. Polite's a career 40% 3-point shooter, and he's shooting 30% from 3 this year. Same thing with Wyatt Wilkes. He's really struggled from 3. Caleb Mills has really struggled from 3. Caleb Mills was bad against Wake Forest. I think he was 1 of 11.
You think he's been disappointing?
I thought he started off strong.
We were talking about it in our group chat. There are times where he's just wow. I mean, he's just dazzling with what he can do with the ball and the shots he can make. I just think he's struggling. Where he's struggling in our offense is in the pick and roll. He's a little bit on the frailer side, so he's getting pushed off his spots when he has the ball, and guys are just being able to push him away from the screen. And when he's not being able to use that screen, the defense is just still right there, still being able to play straight up. They got to find ways to attack the basket. They really struggled against that with Wake Forest. Just they could not get to the basket when they did. They're blowing it at the rim. They got to finish those chances. Then they got to use that to open up chances for 3. It can't be like middle of last season when Florida State started struggling. It's because they were taking 33s a game and they were just relying on the 3-point shot too much. It can't be like that. It can never be like that for Florida State because they've never been that kind of team, no matter the kind of shooters they've had. They got to get to the paint, drive and kick, use the pick and rolls correctly. And that's part of the struggle with not having a true point guard for this team. Evans has been phenomenal defensively, but he's not an offensive player. I think that's safe to say. And then Worley's he's still coming along, still going through the motions. He's I think we were all expecting a little bit more.
Do you use Worley in the pick and roll more?
I mean,
he's a little bit bigger than Mills.
They got to use it. I don't know about that. They're about the same size. They're both 6'5". Morley may have 10, 15
No,
pounds.
I think Worley's a little bit more sturdily built.
Yeah, that may be about it. We'll see. They gotta really just get back to offensive fundamentals and running ball screens correctly. Otherwise, it's going to be a really long season. And we talked before the season how this team compared to. I don't know if I said on this podcast or another podcast. How this team,
which other ones are you on?
I was on a lot of preview podcasts. You know this.
I don't know if you're on the one this week. I don't know.
No, I've had COVID. You know this. I said it compared to the 2017-18 team, which was the year that they went to the Elite Eight, but all year they struggled, especially in conference play. I think they went 9-9 in conference play. They lost some really bad games on the road at Pitt. They performed well at Duke, but other than that, it was a struggle through the whole season. And then by the time they got to March, they'd finally figured things out. But they had a ton of talent, which is what this team has. They have a ton of talent. They're just really struggling to get things together mentally. What they need most is confidence more than anything. You could see once, they miss 3 or 4 shots in a row, they have a bad stretch of possessions. They start shrugging their shoulders, their chins down. That's got to be better. They got to get some confidence. And I thought they'd finally found it a little bit against NC State, but how did that go out the window again in Winston-Salem? I mean, there's no words. There's no words.
Couldn't find anything at all.
I'm not happy that basketball is suffering. I just think it's just a natural progression of Florida State football getting back to its rightful spot.
It's all organic.
It's
why can't both programs be good?
of the stars realigning.
Why can't it be like 2012? Football's doing well.
Yeah, 2012 they freaking lost to NC State when they should have won the national championship.
Okay, here's the thing: they won. What was it, 11 games?
You can't have it all, Nate.
They won 11 games. Florida State won the ACC.
And they were up 15 on Florida and choked that game away. So that I do not want to be like 2012.
I was at that game. I'm just more upset that
I was ready to fight Coach Stoops that game.
I was ready to fight EJ because he had 5 turnovers.
Yeah, we fight a lot of people.
Yeah, but the more surprising thing is Wake Forest just completely smashed both Florida State in basketball and football this year. I don't think anybody saw that coming. In the end of the year for both teams.
Yeah,
they play Wake Forest
dominated. They play them at home February 5th, I think.
They get some revenge. This is a question for you from Dinosaur Phil, asking why the F is in Cam Fletcher starting over Polite.
The issue isn't Polite. The issue is Fletcher should be playing over Wyatt Wilkes. That's the biggest thing. Part of the thing with Fletcher is he's so great on the ball, and he's great at passing lanes, but he's not the best team defender. I'll leave it at that. I think he's phenomenal. His energy is needed. But there are times if you just sit and watch Cam Fletcher for 5 or 6 possessions, he's getting beat back toward 3 of the 6. He's going to get there. I think he's as talented as they come on this roster. But he's got to play over Wyatt Wilkes. I would like to see him start at the 4 for some of these games. Not some of these other games, like when you get to Duke and Carolina where you're playing some bigger teams. But when you're playing like the Miamis, the Georgia Techs, I like to see him start at the 4, see what they can do.
But I don't watch basketball nearly as much as you do. Not like I used to, but the FSU basketball I've watched, I think Polite's the most disappointing this year so far.
He's had his moments. Like Lipscomb, he was phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, 25 points.
I just thought that he was going to be a potential all-conference team player, I
mean, they kind of flipped because Malik Osborne's taking that step where I think he's unquestionably going to be an all-conference guy if he keeps this level of play up. But I think we were all expecting Polite to take that, at least some kind of a step. The shooting regression to me has just been unreal. I want to pull up the splits, but my computer's being slow.
Oh, you're good. I was going to bring up their next 2 games with Louisville being at Florida State, and then they face Miami, who's on a 4-game winning streak in the ACC.
Both teams have Actually, Miami lost to Louisville the other night.
Did they really?
Yeah, Louisville's 4-0
last
in
night?
ACC. It was. I can tell you.
I'm trying to look at their schedule.
Wasn't Louisville like absolute trash heading into conference play?
So yeah. Hold on, Miami. Am I
Oh
tripping?
no, I think you are tripping because they beat Wake Forest, NC State,
Yeah, I'm tripping.
Clemson, and
Yeah. No,
maybe not a four.
They beat NC State, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech.
Oh, Syracuse too, and they beat Syracuse yesterday. Yeah.
Did they? Oh, and they beat Syracuse yesterday.
Yeah, last night. Yeah, I remember just seeing the tweet of them saying, "Oh, we're 4-0 in the ACC."
Yeah, so you got 2 4-0 teams in conference coming to Tallahassee these next 2 games. Louisville was really bad in non-conference play. They lost to, let's just read it out. Lost to Furman by 8, lost to Michigan State by 9, and this is not your dad's Michigan State. Lost to DePaul by 7, and then the craziest one, they lost to Western Kentucky by 10. It's just not a good Louisville team. I still don't think they're good, even though they're 4-0 in conference play. They haven't beaten anybody of note besides Wake Forest. Wake Forest is actually good. Even I'm not just saying that because they curb stomped us. They actually are a good team. But Pitt's arguably the worst team on the entire East Coast.
Damn.
You can, I don't care what team you throw out there. It can be Towson. I'm taking Towson over Pitt. Wake Forest, whatever. Georgia Tech, whatever. NC State, whatever. So we'll see how they do against Florida State, because Florida State's whooped some ass against Louisville in the last few years. Last 3 games, Florida State's won by 13 more points. Have won 4 straight in this series, 5 of the last 6. Ever since Chris Mack's gotten to Louisville, Florida State's been like, oh yeah, remember that time you beat us when you were at Xavier? Yeah, it's not happening ever again. So we'll see. I like that matchup. I think it's weirdly beneficial towards us. The only thing they do have is they have Boogie Ellis, who was a TCC guy. And the thing with those TCC guys that a lot of people don't realize is TCC and FSU, they'll play pickup a lot during the summer. A lot of the guys stay in contact. So if anybody knows Florida State, it's going to be Boogie Ellis. And he's a good player. He's one of the best scorers on that team. Then you get Miami coming to town next week, and I think they're horrendous. I don't know how they've won as many games as they have in the conference.
So it should be a good matchup then.
Hopefully we just win. I don't care.
Go back to the previous question. So I like to get Austin's thoughts on this because I didn't see it. I just saw on Twitter people throwing a big fit about it.
Balls question?
The one about the call on Fletcher.
Oh, it was horrendous. It was arguably the worst charge call I've ever seen. I don't think Cam made contact. It was just one of those where the guy flopped and the ref was out of position because it was in transition. And it was a Rogers Ayers crew, which is, there's 3 ACC crews that you do not want. It's Roger Ayers, it's Teddy Valentine, and it is Jamie Lucky. And I'm pretty sure Florida State's had them for every single conference game so far this year. Just an embarrassing call. Florida State was finally starting to get a little bit of momentum because Cam had come in, made a couple plays. They had chopped the deficit from, I'm ballparking here, but it was like 21 to down to like 14 or so in a span of like a minute and a half. Get a turnover, Cam's in transition. At the very least, he should have gone to the free throw line, maybe cut it to 13 or 12. Then Wake's kind of sitting there pooping their pants a little bit. Instead, they get some bogus charge call, and it's going the other way.
It's tough. There's a question here from Ball asking Austin, are we in contact with that transfer from Texas?
Yes, we are. I don't know the specifics of it, but he's close with a lot of guys on the team.
The name?
Hold on. I got to go to the Discord. Because Jacob knows more about it than I do.
Yeah.
Jalen Tyson.
Oh, okay.
He's close with Cam Corrin, who's a signee for this upcoming class. He is close with someone else too. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. We'll see. The rumor right now is Texas Tech. We'll see what happens there. I don't think he's someone Florida State needs. It's great to have a guy that can score like that, but Florida State needs point guards and they need bigs.
Well, the predictions will actually be in the previews. So if you guys want to get the score prediction from VZ and see if Florida State's going to turn things around, keep an eye out on the site SI. Go check it out once he drops those later in the week. So make sure
Louisville will be up Saturday morning because the game's not till 8:00, so plenty of time for y'all to read.
Yep, be perfect. National championship this weekend, gentlemen. Who we got for this one? Alabama, Georgia.
Bama.
Who we got?
It's hard to beat a good team twice. It's also hard to bet against Saban. When you get to this,
It's also hard to bet on Kirby Smart in a big game.
Mm-hmm. I think Kirby Smart's a new big game Bob.
Nah.
Honestly, it's a good comparison.
I don't know if Georgia doesn't. For me, Georgia doesn't have it at quarterback and wide receiver.
I think they've got a receiver. I just don't think they have a quarterback.
I think they've done an absolutely horrible job at developing wide receivers. They're dependent on George Pickens just coming off an ACL injury, so he's played very minimal. I think Georgia's done a really horrendous job at developing wide receivers, which is another topic for another day. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Like for Georgia to be, I know it's only 2.5 points, but still, like, Alabama kind of controlled that game the first time, and I know Georgia looked really good against Michigan. Alabama.
That's a different animal.
That's more geared offensively to what Georgia does well, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I think with Mechie, with Mechie, how do you say his last name, with him out, I think that helps Georgia a little bit. But I don't know, man. It's just shit. I mean, I'm going with Bama until it's not Bama.
Nah.
I agree.
I just think that, I think Cincinnati hung in there that first half, but that was probably their best ball that they could play, and Bama just pulled away.
And Cincinnati had their chances, really. I mean, they got down the field a couple times, and then just, moment was too big.
Yeah, Georgia's going to have to be able to turn the ball over. And, are they going to bracket Jamison Williams this time? What do they do differently in that coverage? He ate them up.
Man, it's speedy, man. That is a fast cat, dude.
Yeah.
He can fly.
It's going to be very interesting. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't surprise me to see Georgia win it, but Georgia just
it wouldn't surprise me.
Kirby just has that fucking big game Bob feel, man, that gets to that big game and just chokes on it, man.
He'll get one eventually. I don't know if it's this year.
Yeah, he'll get one like Bob Stoops got one. He'll play a national contending dominant program whose offensive coordinators got 1 foot out the door because he's about to leave.
Yeah.
And that offense play an egg.
Yeah. I'm gonna risk it for a biscuit and say Georgia. I'm just risking it. And Dalvin Cook's brother gets himself a national championship. James Cook.
I mean, he's played really well recently too.
Yeah, this latter stretch of the season.
If Dalvin can't have one, James can't have one.
Correct.
Speaking of, not really Dalvin, but Jameis Winston. Happy birthday to Jameis and happy anniversary to the 2013 national championship. We do these on. We pick some good nights to do podcasts.
We're going to talk about Cam Akers.
Yeah, Cam Akers coming back this weekend too, which is absolutely insanity. I mean, it had to have been a partial tear or something, unless they got some crazy shit going on in Los Angeles. But after an Achilles injury,
we talked about this 2 weeks ago, where like the quarterback from Clemson. There's been some recent development in Achilles injuries that we just don't know about. Because it's not even the first one. It would be different if it was the first one we heard about. Like, oh, it was just HGH, whatever.
And it's like, a running back. So yeah, it's a guy who plants, cuts, stops, goes,
and he's been cleared. It's not even like, oh yeah, we're just activating him so we can have him ready for the playoffs. He's been cleared and he's going to play. It's insane. Talk about a freak.
Yeah.
Speaking of another Ram, I don't know if either of you guys have The Athletic, but there's a really good piece on Jalen Ramsey this morning. That I would recommend. Just like his mindset.
On what?
The Athletic. Yeah.
I'm not a
number.
They
do the screenshots.
They do discounts. So I every time they do, I'll sign up. It's a really good article talking about his mindset, like talking about the end of the Jacksonville tenure.
Also, you know what to do, bro.
That's a lot of screenshots.
Nate needs the plug.
It was a really long article.
You know, Nate ain't paying for it.
Is it long form?
What?
Is it a long form?
I mean, it took me like 30 minutes to read it. Granted,
Little
good,
screen
man.
record. Well, we might get in trouble. No, I didn't say do that. I never said that.
It was a really good article, just talking about his mindset, talking about his, why he talks so much, why he questions everything, why he's in people's faces. It was a really good article. Really, really good article.
He's just a different cat, bro. So why he's the best
they talk
player
about
in the
that.
league.
They talk about how his Jacksonville defensive backs coach was like scared of him. Because like Jalen was just so demanding, like because they apparently after the coaches install the game plan on Monday, he'll go to every single coach and go, well, why are we doing this and why are we doing this and why are we doing this? Just a different cat.
Sounds like Jalen.
It's funny to hear stories of how Pruitt was just dogging him in fall camp in 2013.
I mean, apparently he likes that's what he wants.
Yeah,
he wants to be challenged.
I shouldn't have taken you. Coach Cleveland was right. You're horrible. Should have let you go to California. He's just dogging this kid. But in the meetings you're like, this kid is special.
Oh yeah.
Just the way he picked up on things. He understood the defense
quick
for
a freshman.
True freshman. Why he was a true freshman starter.
Yeah, absolutely. So your team's done for the season. Visa, your team's done, right? There's no chances this weekend, right?
Yeah, losing to the Packers with Sean Mannion was the final nail in the coffin for not only the team but probably the head coach.
How do you feel about that? I forget what I was reading it, talking about how Cleveland should trade Baker to Minnesota for Kirk Cousins.
He's a free agent, so I mean you can do whatever. Whatever gets Kirk Cousins off my team, I'm here for it. His cap is just way too big. He's a solid player.
You think Kirk Cousins is a problem in Minnesota?
He's not the problem, but when he has a $40 million cap hit and you've got all these injuries on defense, you have one good wide receiver right now because Thielen's out with an ankle injury. Your offensive line is continuously bad. I think part of it's also
a problem in Minnesota. Same thing with Chicago.
Here, I love our tackles. Darisaw and Brian O'Neill are really good. Ezra Cleveland's shown some signs of hope at left guard. Garrett Bradbury is a bust, and right guard is a major issue. It's been a revolving door since 2014, essentially. They got to get those two. They got to get those two short up. They need corners, plural. They need a linebacker to replace Anthony Barr because he's probably gone. They need pass rush because once Daniel Hunter went down, RIP for that. They need a safety next to Harrison Smith, even to replace Harrison Smith because he's 33 now. They need a lot.
I think Chicago should draft a head coach.
Who do you want them to draft?
Head coach?
Yeah, they got to get rid of Nagy for one.
I mean, that's coming. That's coming. I think Mike's
that's got to come. That's got to come. Please,
it's got to be on the way. I'm right there with you.
And who's your GM again? Ryan Pace.
And they're going to go for Mike Tomlin.
Shut up.
That's why I need to happen.
If he's going anywhere, he's going back to Minnesota where he spent part of his coaching career. I mean, listen.
Visa, you don't need him. I need him. I need my quarterback that I had for 18 years is leaving me. I need him.
You have seen your team win a Super Bowl.
He looks good in the purple, bro.
He does look good in that purple.
It does look fire. I think the edit is also phenomenal. So shout out to
also
JB
shout out
Swaps.
to Jameis's recovery too.
Yeah,
the only thing is I don't see our owners wanting Jameis.
He's already moving laterally.
I could see Mike being Mike already made an offer in Pittsburgh. He made the most money for him.
Also, so we still have another year of Kirk Cousins on contract. So
yeah, so I'll go and take this away from you. I was just trying to tease you and make you feel.
I was already sad from Florida State basketball. I was sad from COVID. Now you're just showing me more sad.
Yeah, I'm just trying to tease you too much. Now, just one last blow at you before we get off of here. We've had 80 questions on this since we talked about 45 minutes ago. But Jared Verse, we don't have no announcement. No, we never heard of this Jared, this defensive end from Albany. I don't know who they're talking about.
Florida State's recruiting him.
I don't know who it is. I don't want to know. I got to know who it is before we can talk about it. But go to the early part of the podcast or the show on YouTube. But it really nothing's happened with Jared Verse. We haven't had an announcement yet. He's been quiet to both Tennessee outlets and us over here to Dustin. He's just ghosting Dustin. I mean, we do that on our own, but Jared's also doing that to Dustin. So we'll see. I think it's going to be an over weekend kind of thing. It's going to be the last minute thing. So this is one of the top talented guys in the transfer portal right now. So top 5, top 3 even. So we'll see where Jared Verse picks. I think that's going to wrap it up, guys. That's our first episode of 2022. Felt good. I felt really good for some reason. I felt like really smooth.
It was good for me because I was able to, be here.
I gotta start getting my questions ready for the next podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's something. There's something in the works. That might be already done.
That could be a doozy.
Yeah.
It could be a doozy. It could lead to a couple fights.
I don't think it will be that, thankfully. But
I would love it if it did.
It was about to be happening tonight. It was about to be happening tonight.
If he comes on, I'm not going to spoil anything. If he comes on and he's like, "Yeah, I remember this. I remember this. You want to talk about it?"
This person has said every time that his person has talked to him, setting this all up, that he is very excited about coming on, overly excited. So might have gotten some snippets from another person that also heard about this.
Hey, we'll chop it up.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good, though. I'm excited to start off 2022. It's gonna be a really fun guest that we'll have on. Hopefully, fingers crossed next week. If not, we're definitely having him on this month. So look out for that next week. Should be a big one. Look out for Twitter. As always, listen to podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube. Hit that like button if you're on YouTube right now. We had over close to 300 people watching tonight. That's got to be like maybe close to a new all-timer. That's pretty good, though, on a random
I'm telling you, man, whenever
night.
Dustin's here,
all-timer.
Tell you, man, whenever Dustin's here, man, it's like we do numbers, man.
Yeah, when he's not here, we do numbers. When he is here, we just drop numbers like crazy. It just falls off. So
maybe we can put him in like a off-camera producer role.
Yeah, he could do the back end, and he could, since he is a software guy, he can maybe bring up the videos that I keep searching for, the Twitter videos and such.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, look out for that next week. Appreciate everybody listening. Enjoy the rest of y'all's week and weekend. We'll see what happens with Jared Verse. We'll keep you guys updated. See you in the Discord, and we will talk to you guys next Thursday evening. Happy 2022.
Mama told me not to say a word. 17.5, same color t-shirt. Mama told me not to say a word. 17.5, same color